Hey, everyone. Welcome back. You know, we made it up from the show floor of Black Hat to our suite here in Las Vegas to do a little bit quieter. Hopefully the quality will be better for you. I'm really happy to introduce you to Dave Krauthamer. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
You say it for me.
Krauthamer or Krauthamer.
Either way, Dave is here with us. And Dave, the company's called QuSecure.
Yeah, QuSecure.
That's Q like quantum.
QuSecure, yeah.
Yep.
Quantum secure.
And, well, we're going to hear all about the company, Dave. But first, let's hear a little bit about you.
Sure. So again, Dave Krauthamer. I have a computer science background from before there were computers, a long, long time ago. And I kind of spent a lot of time in IT, became a chief information officer in telecom. And then I founded what became the Oracle's largest cloud partner, services partner. So grew up in that kind of enterprise software realm. And I grew up in a very nerdy Caltech family, JPL family, and was always really fascinated with physics, although I didn't have a physics background. So we founded a company that was really focused on quantum computing, quantum algorithms, and quantum development, and then pivoted into this quantum security paradigm that we've been doing since roughly 2019. And just in having a really fun time, but just focusing in on creating new layers of security to protect us from current and future attacks.
That's fantastic. If you don't mind me asking,
Sure.
What possessed you to, this was what, about 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
What possessed you 4 or 5 years ago to jump into quantum computing?
That's a great question, Alan. So, like I said, I grew up in a very nerdy, family. My mom was a college professor, and I was always really just fascinated with future next, really exciting things that were occurring. And we were kind of on the cusp of quantum computing becoming a real thing, and what do you do with it? And so I've had some exits, and I was in a good position to kind of do something really fun. I founded the company with my daughter, who's now the CEO.
That's fantastic.
And it was just really a wonderful opportunity to focus on some really future cool stuff, make it a now thing, work with my daughter and just do some cool things.
Love it. It's funny, Dave, we're about the same age.
Yeah.
And we've seen waves of technology, as you said, come and go in our time. Not just go, because technology never leaves. It doesn't fade away, right? Like Douglas MacArthur says about, old generals. It gets built into the foundation, and then we build on top of it and on top of it and on top of it.
Yeah.
Now, quantum, I have to admit, when I first became aware about quantum computing, it sounded Star Trek-ish to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't think I would see it in my lifetime, let alone in my working career.
Yeah.
But then again, I didn't think I'd see artificial intelligence
In your career, yeah.
in my career either, and here we are. There's so many aspects to quantum computing. I was actually talking to a friend of mine, John Willis, today, who's doing a book on quantum computing. He was telling me he's about 150 pages into this book, and he said, Alan, you don't realize how long this has been sort of a holy grail, if you will, because it could do everything and nothing all at the same time, so to speak.
Absolutely.
I think for a lot of our audience out here, they don't understand what quantum really brings.
Sure.
I think probably the easiest use case is the security post-quantum encryption that we hear about and stuff like that. Yeah. But Dave, if you don't mind, let's pick your brain a little bit. Share with our audience when we talk about quantum computing.
Yeah.
We toss around terms like qubits.
Yeah.
And the whole non-binary kind of being both a 1 and a 0 at the same time kind of thing. But what does it really mean? Where does the rubber meet the road for our audience?
That's a great question. So when we talk about conventional computing processes a transaction or a word really fast. And these transactions are like 64 bits. You've heard of a 64-bit computer. So I process 64 bits worth of information at a time, which is great. We figured out how to do that really fast, but it's linear in nature, meaning it goes from step to step to step, which is good for a lot of problems. But in the Venn diagram of problems, there's all these problems out here that you can't solve linearly. Hacking RSA is one of them because it's prime number factored.
Right.
So just if the quantum computing is really simple. It takes that word of 64 bits and a qubit, which is like a quantum bit, it's basically an atom. A qubit is an atom. Mm-hmm. When I create a word of 64-bit word out of 64 qubits, instead of being 64 bits, it's 2 to the 64th. So the word size of 64 qubits is equivalent to like all the data stored in the world in the last year in one transaction. So instead of like linearly going from step A to step B with one instruction, it's such a massive amount of volume and capability. I can solve these problems that, like, one good example is like if I go into a maze with a conventional computer, I turn right, I go left, I do this. If you go in with that quantum circuit, I can take every path simultaneously all at once. So really, if you boil down quantum computing, it's just the word size is really, really big. And it lets us do kind of amazing things with significant amounts of data in an instant.
I've never heard it explained that simply, eloquently. Good work.
It's really actually a simple concept that they use some fundamental natures in the bit because it can be 1, 0, anything. It's not just on and off. And I put them together and it's just really a lot of capability.
But it's 2 to the 64th power.
2 to the 64th power, which is equal to a yotta bit of data, which is equal to all the data stored in the world in the last year. It's a lot of data, one transaction.
Crazy. Now you understand why it's so hard to develop. Now, as hard as it is, though, I don't want to be, I think we owe it to the audience to tell them we've been making tremendous progress in the quantum field, in the quantum computing field. Talk to us a little bit about the state of the art today in quantum computing.
Yeah. So this quantum bit, which is just an atom, right? Different kinds of atoms for different applications. The quantum bit, the whole issue is error correction. They're very noisy. So measuring a quantum bit is really hard. So there's been really significant improvements in the noise of these bits. So to crack RSA, which is what we're here to talk about, RSA is the encryption used on most devices. It's a prime number, 2048 bits long. You need about 4,000 quantum bits, but high quality noise reduced bits. So what happened in the past, 2-3 years ago, if you had 1 million qubits, which you didn't, it would reduce down to, 100 clean bits. Now they're improving the error correction to where, you can have 1 qubit that's error corrected. And once you have error corrected qubits, which we're racing towards really fast, you mentioned it, that the power of what you can do is unimaginable. We're going to have, instead of AI, we're going to have convolutional neural nets that can parse your whole complex neural nets at once. So instead of like going, well, I'll do this, put something in a bucket, you have about 400 billion neurons in your brain. And it's highly parallel. So with quantum, you could actually understand the whole state of the system. Error correction is the key. We're making monumental strides in error correction. It's a really exciting time.
Yeah. The other thing I've heard, and look, I'm no quantum expert, I'll say that up front, is we used to say, well, we had to reach 1,000 qubits to have sort of a working quantum computer model. But now they're saying, well, no, we may not truly need 1,000 qubit machine. We could do these in parallel.
Yeah.
And we get away with a lot less to have functional quantum.
Yeah. So, the holy grail is getting to 4,000 qubits to crack RSA. And when that happens, we'll talk about it in a minute, but every device is vulnerable. Your camera,
anything that's encrypted.
Anything that's encrypted is vulnerable. It's kind of like the new malware. There lies the challenge.
State-of-the-art RSA is 2048.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of legacy stuff out there that's 1024.
Yeah.
And that needs half 4,000. You say you need 4,000 for
2,000.
2048. You probably need 2,000, right? And in parallel, you're almost in spinning distance of that right now, from what I understand.
Yeah, and there's, in large corporations, they'll have thousands of applications that have embedded cryptography. Some of this is from companies that have gone out of business.
Sure.
Some of it's, DES, triple DES, old encryption that's already been hacked. So we already have this cryptographic debt is a term. I was a CIO in my old days. We have this cryptographic debt. And as I said, only about 25% of the companies actually monitor what cryptography they have. So the networks are strewn with older stuff, misimplementations, and we don't even know what debt we have. So it's really, it's not just cracking RSA. There's just a vast array of stuff out there that we don't even know what it is.
RSA might be the gold standard, but there's a lot of silver, bronze, and copper.
Yeah.
It's in play here. That's
highly vulnerable.
Now, look, I've had the pleasure over the years of working with a few companies in the quantum encryption field, one of which, or post-quantum encryption, I think is the right term, one of which is DigiCert, which is probably the worldwide leader in digital certificates, web certificates. And of course, NIST has been involved in this, MITRE, quasi-governmental agencies. And we have come out with post-quantum algorithm that is supposedly quantum proof.
Yes.
Now, the adoption of that, you know how security is. We have what we call just-in-time security.
Yes.
They don't do it till it's probably a little too late. Then all of a sudden everybody gets religion. Yeah. But what's the state of post-quantum cryptography for these kinds of digital certificates?
Great question. I want to be really clear that post-quantum is just better math. So RSA, prime number factored. Post-quantum is just lattice math. It's just better math. So I like to equate it with RSA. If I wanted to have tea with the queen, I go to Windsor Castle, there's one guard, I push him over and go have tea. With the lattice-based math or post-quantum, it's like every inch of that palace is filled with a guard. So I'm just not going to get through it. So I think the term post-quantum is a little confusing and deceptive. It's just a better math algorithm that can withstand these quantum attacks because they're just not prone to the large word size in a quantum computer.
Sure.
So I think, when it comes to post-quantum, so we've established, NIST is established basically the crypto. You're starting to see a lot of compliance regiments mandating post-quantum. But more important than post-quantum is just the next algorithm, is this concept of crypto agility. And that is, now that we have a new algorithm, what if that fails tomorrow? How do I swap that out? So in the past, these implementations of cryptography have been very static. You can't change them. But this move to crypto modernization is really about crypto agility, meaning if I have 1 million cell phones and I need to swap out the algorithm, I can say, I've got a threat, I can press a button and upgrade to post-quantum 2 or whatever it might be. So that's the field we are in at QuSecure, is basically crypto agility and orchestrating this new cryptography to any endpoint when the threat occurs and monitoring it and understanding where we're at. And so I'd like to demystify post-quantum, better math, quantum computing, bigger word size. The concept is pretty straightforward, but how do you swap it out in real time? That's the question.
Yep. So, look, I feel like we gave everyone out here a terrific, quick cursory course on quantum.
Yeah.
No charge. But let's now turn to QuSecure.
Sure. Yeah.
So you said you started the company, it was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Your daughter is now the CEO. I'm going to assume she has a little bit of a background in quantum and computers
She does.
as well.
Yeah.
Well, first let me do Proud Papa with you. Tell us about your daughter who's the CEO. Her background.
Yeah. So my daughter, Rebecca, who's the CEO, she was a Stanford artificial intelligence. So she focused on AI and kind of went into the quantum field because the promise of AI when you have a quantum capability, right? So just really exciting. She was Forbes 30 under 30 in quantum physics and quantum computing. She's on the World Economic Forum, the board for AI and quantum, and just really has carved out a really cool position for herself. And so she's, and by the way, she's just a phenomenal leader. She's taken over the company and just a visionary and really leading us into kind of this AI-driven quantum crypto agile world. And so
You must be very proud, and you should be.
very proud.
Terrific story. So let's talk QSecure.
Yeah.
What's the mission? What are you guys doing exactly here in quantum and security?
Yeah. So, I've had some exits. My ethos is really to create a safer future for everybody. We're at kind of this pivotal time when, the internet was built with kind of no walls. It was built to trust everyone.
Scientist.
So we're going through a transition where, we've got to rebuild it in the image of that, Alan's Alan. We can guarantee Alan's Alan. We can guarantee, Alan's talking to Dave. And so we've got to rethink it. And so the future should be safe. We should be afforded, it should be a human right that you're afforded a degree of privacy and control. So in comes QSecure. So what QSecure does, we have an orchestration platform, fancy word for the software that basically orchestrates this cryptography and keys to any point. It can live in the cloud. It can live on a server. It can live in a air-gapped environment if you're a high security zone. And then it orchestrates this crypto to any endpoint, and you can manage it one single pane of glass. And so that's what we do. In essence, we enforce policy and then let you swap out broad swaths of your network in real time. Really easy to deploy. We've done like post-quantum 5G in a couple hours. And so it's a really easy way to set the stage for crypto agile networks. If you're in the networking space, there's a concept of SD-WAN, which is a network orchestrated.
Sure.
Think of us as SD-WAN for cryptography, and that we can orchestrate it across the network in real time, all in software.
Really? That's fantastic. Now, there are customers that are more attuned.
Sure.
I think is a good word. Customers that are more attuned to this kind of solution. Talk to us about the target customer personas for QSecure.
Great. We kind of cut our teeth working with the government. There's been a number of executive orders. One just came out a couple of weeks ago mandating post-quantum cryptography and the path there. The deadline when they think there's going to be a quantum computer that can hack RSA, it's coming in towards us quickly. It was 2035. It's now 2030. And this journey
closing quick.
And so it's a governmental mandate. And so if you're working with DoD or working with the government in that supply chain, it's mandated. Now, what we're starting to see by verticals, and this is pharma, banking, a lot of telco, energy, is now there's a compliance regiment coming out where they're saying you have to deploy crypto agility. Like PCI, which is the credit card standards, now has a requirement for crypto agility. We were working with a banking customer, and they had the regulators in, and they said the regulators have never mentioned post-quantum. And the last time they were in, they were like, you've got to get this done. And so they were like, boy, this is really creeping up. So I think what's happened is NIST certified to crypto, all these compliance regiments, DORA, FIDO, they're all saying you need crypto agility. And now there's kind of a mad rush in the verticals like pharma, energy, banking.
Kind of the usual suspects for this, but for good reason, right?
Yeah.
Either mission critical or highly regulated kinds of industries where you can't afford to have kind of New York Times headline kind of incidents happening, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you something else, just again, my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the speed that AI has tsunamied, for lack of a better word, the tech industry, has made people quantum shy, if that's it. Hey, I said that word first.
Quantum shy.
Quantum shy.
Love it.
Because if AI can come on like that, so can quantum. And though the government, it's like Secretariat coming around the bend for the Belmont Stakes and pulling away from the field. They're saying 2030. It could very well be 2028.
It could be.
It could be. And it's not the kind of thing you can turn on. I mean, there's so much embedded infrastructure that would need to be updated, upgraded.
Yeah.
quantified. It's a good word. You know, that we do need, now is the time to get out ahead, right? We could,
Yeah.
don't let, you know, for those people who, you know, AI came on and was almost auto magical, right?
Yeah.
Wow, what it's crazy. It's fun, you know, unbelievable. Yet it's not magic. For those of us who are into neural nets and understand how AI does what it does,
Yeah.
really putting one word in front of the other.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with quantum. I think we're seeing inch by inch, step by step, you know, how do you eat an elephant? One spoonful at a time.
Yeah.
And we're eating the quantum elephant one spoonful at a time.
Yeah.
So I do think people are starting to now feel the weight of it, you know, breathing down our necks a bit. I've always asked friends of mine who are into the quantum field, what's the killer app? Is it the cryptography piece of it?
Yeah.
But what are some of the other
Sure.
killer apps out there that you think quantum may unlock for us?
Yeah, I think at the top of the pyramid for me is like molecular simulation. Because right now, if I want to simulate a molecule, you know, we don't have the math or the computing capable to do it. So if you think about the future where I can just engineer materials, I can engineer pharma, and I like to compute proteins, it's just fascinating what we're going to be able to do. There's quantum sensing, which is really hitting hard, and that's the ability to sense your environment at the atomic level. Because when you can kind of come down to the atomic level, it's amazing what you can do.
It's almost subatomic, right?
Subatomic, yeah.
Yeah, and it is. It opens, you know, no pun intended, but it opens a whole new world, right?
It opens a whole new world. Another thing on the security side, one of the big threats we face right now is steal now, decrypt later. Our data is already being harvested. So they're harvesting the encrypted data. And in the past, they've been like, if you have encrypted data, we don't care, but we should care. Because foreign nation states are taking our encrypted data.
They're hoarding what do they call them? Hash balls or whatever.
Yeah.
I got the name for it.
There's one foreign nation state that's speculated how upwards of 25% of the global encrypted data, when they have enough qubits to crack it, they can crack that data. And if it's health records, if it's credit card data, if it's banking data, that point's a little scary. The other big thing about quantum computers that's going to be revolutionary is quantum neural nets. And this concept of being able to understand the state of a neural net instantaneously, it's going to open up this kind of superintelligence, this gateway to superintelligence.
API and superintelligence, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, your brain, your neurons function at a very slow speed. It's like 4 bits. But if you had a quantum neural net, the capabilities for artificial intelligence, it's really the realization.
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
Let me give you another kind of pulled right out of sci-fi, out of a Hollywood movie. Once you have the ability to create a neural net that exceeds the capacity of our brain.
Yeah.
You know, immortality has been a dream. If you look at it, it drives religion, right?
Yeah.
The thought of being able to live forever. We have this whole class of billionaires. It's not about the money they have more money than their children's children will use. But immortality is you know,
Sure.
It's the holy grail. Is it possible with a neural net to like download someone's mind?
Yeah. So I don't know if you've heard of Ray Kurzweil, you know, the
Sure.
singularity. So Ray's at Google. So this concept of, creating a neural net that, you know, when it's a quantum neural net, you know, right now the challenge with AI is it can only resolve the next word in a really sophisticated way. But when you add these quantum capabilities, it can then create things outside of the known knowledge set. So I'm a believer in the singularity, which is the nerdy side of me,
Right.
in that they will develop this capability that you know, you can transcend into that. There's a joke about the singularity is that if you don't have a lot of money, you'll have ads in the sky when you're in the singularity. And,
Yeah, well, you'll have to pay for it, right? You got to pay for it one way or the other.
But the interesting thing about the singularity is that, it was usually, Ray said it was 2050. Now it's like supposed to be 2029.
People are saying we may already be reaching it
We
somewhere.
may already be reaching it somewhere.
Last thing, and then we got to go because we're way over time. I apologize, but I actually like this stuff. Marrying AI and quantum, we talked a little bit about it. Maybe it brings on the singularity. Maybe it brings on AGI superintelligence. But you marry that along with what we're calling physical AI, robotics,
Yeah.
super smart machines that have quantum capability in AI.
Yeah.
Do we have to be afraid?
Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, that's a big topic right now. There's a lot of thought, concern, optimism, pessimism around that. I personally, so my personal belief is that, the trajectory bends towards morality, Martin Luther King.
Right. Absolutely.
We definitely need to be concerned, because uncontrolled, where it leads us is once it exceeds our capacity to understand, then, it's an interesting thing. But I think, our mission is to create a safer future. I think if the ethos we bring to things collectively is that we want to create a good outcome with this, then we'll bring that ethos to this discussion and create technology that really has a moral arc to it. And there will be a lot of problems along the way.
There certainly will. There'll be growing things. But I agree with you. I believe in the goodness of humanity at a core level. And I think we will build in those guardrails.
I love it.
So
I think there's an opportunity to build unimaginably beautiful things.
absolutely. And that's why you're doing it. You know what we didn't mention though, Dave? QuSecure. What's the website?
Yeah, so it's www.QuSecure.com. My email is dave@QSecure, and feel free to reach out. It's a really fascinating topic, and
It is.
really appreciate
We're planning on doing a virtual event on quantum either later this year or early next year. Virtual. We're going to call it Quantum Leap of all things. But we'd love to have you come talk about it. Maybe we'll have Rebecca come on too.
Yeah, she's really, really good.
Like she would be.
Would love to talk about quantum.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Great hanging out with you.
QuSecure here on TechStrong TV. Go check them out. We're going to be continuing our Black Hat coverage in a little bit, so stay tuned. You're watching TechStrong TV.